everyone, welcome to Craft Time. This week we're talking about what it means to be present with one another, and we see this illustrated in the story of Ruth. When Naomi tells Ruth that she's free to go, Ruth doesn't take that. She stays with Naomi and is present in Naomi's life. And so this week the craft that we're going to do is a game that you can play with your family that will just encourage you guys to spend time together and to be present with one another through this time. Let's get started. We're going to be making tic-tac-toe, so go outside and find 9 rocks that are flat on both sides. That will make it easier to draw your X's and O's. You'll also need some construction paper or something to cover your surface, as well as some sort of paint, paintbrushes, and some Sharpies. If you don't have paintbrushes, or maybe your parents don't want you to use them, that's okay, you can just use the Sharpies. I'm sure that will work just as well. So I washed the rocks and then poured out a little bit of the paint onto my covered surface, and then I started painting the rocks. This kind of paint that I'm using is tempera, and it takes quite a bit to dry, so I would advise using some other kind of paint, but whatever you have on hand is probably fine. These rocks took a while to paint also because you have to hold one side of it, so just be patient. I put on a movie while I did this so that, I wouldn't get impatient and try to paint it when it wasn't dry yet. So go ahead and do that to all of your rocks. And then once you're done, then come back to the video. Here's just a time lapse of me doing that to all of them. I did 2 coats just because this paint was a little see-through, but depending on what your paint is, you could probably get away with 1 coat too. So once you've painted them all, then we're going to take our Sharpie and we are going to draw an X on one side of the rock with one color, and then take a different color and draw an O on the other side of the rock. And after I did this, I went back and kind of decorated each one a little bit differently so that it was a little more fun. And then this part's optional, but I took an egg carton that had a 3x3 row in egg holders, and then I took some construction paper and I decorated the top. So the first thing I did was trace out the top so that I had a square that was the exact same size as the egg carton, and then I cut that out. And then once I had that cut out, I traced that square out on my second piece of construction paper that was a different color. And then I drew a diagonal line and then cut along that line so that I had a triangle of the different color. And then once I had my square and my triangle, I taped the triangle on top of the square so that it looks like this. Once I had that completed, I took my stiffer piece of cardstock and cut out 3 different rectangles, and I used them pattern side down, so I wrote on the white part on the back. So then I taped those down on top of a patterned piece of paper and then cut that out so that there was a border around my first piece. And then once I did that, I just taped it onto my first larger piece of construction paper that I had before. And then I took a Sharpie after that and I just wrote tic-tac-toe on each one. And then I taped that whole thing on top of my egg carton, so it looks like this. And then I put all of my rocks inside the egg carton, and there you go. You could play this game inside the egg carton, or you could just take some writing utensils outside and play it like this. Thank you all so much for joining me for Craft Time this week. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I cannot wait to play with this with my family and friends. It was so much fun to make, and I hope that you enjoyed making it too. So have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Remember to stay creative and stay compassionate. See ya!